You know that feeling when you're driving through the middle of nowhere, and suddenly, you see it. A structure that doesn't quite belong, yet somehow feels more right than anything you've ever seen. That's the Prairie Horizon barndominium. And today, we're going to talk about why this isn't just a building trend, it's a revolution in how we think about home. Most people spend their entire lives trapped in boxes. Literal boxes. For walls, low ceilings, neighbors so close you can hear their arguments through the drywall. We call it modern living, but really, we're just inmates with mortgages. The Prairie Horizon barndominium? It laughs at that concept. It spits in the face of everything suburban America told you a home should be. Picture this. You're standing at the edge of where the land meets the sky. There's no interruption between you and forever. And right there, rising from the earth like it grew there naturally, is a home that's part barn, part modern masterpiece, part fever dream of anyone who ever wanted to breathe again. The metal catches the sunset burnt orange, deep crimson, that particular shade of gold that only exists for about 7 minutes a day. This is the Prairie Horizon barndominium design, and it's not here to fit in. Now, let's talk about what makes this different from every other barndominium you've scrolled past on Pinterest at 2 in the morning when you couldn't sleep because your apartment walls were closing in. The Prairie Horizon design is about context. It's about understanding that when you build in a place where the land stretches so far it curves with the planet, your home can't just sit there like a drop shipping container. It has to belong to the horizon. The roof line. It echoes the gentle roll of distant hills. The color palette, pulled directly from the earth beneath it, weathered grays, rusted oranges, the deep brown of soil after rain. This isn't a home that fights its environment. It's a home that becomes part of the story the land has been telling for thousands of years. The metal exterior isn't just about durability, though let's be honest. When you're building in prairie country, where the wind has opinions and the weather has a temper, you need something that can take a punch. No, the metal is about honesty. There's something deeply satisfying about a material that doesn't pretend to be something it isn't. It's industrial, yes. Cold, maybe. But catch it in the right light, and it's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. It's utilitarian poetry. And then you step inside. This is where the Prairie Horizon design is something that makes your chest tighten, and your eyes water even though you're not exactly sure why. The interior is all warmth. Reclaimed wood beams stretching 30 feet overhead, and when I say reclaimed, I mean wood that used to be barns themselves. Wood that held up haylofts and survived decades of prairie storms. There's history in those beams. Stories. The ghosts of farmers who knew what hard work meant and what silence sounded like. The windows. Oh, the windows. Floor to ceiling, wall to wall. Unapologetic expanses of glass that frame the prairie like living art. Because here's what the Prairie Horizon design understands. That your suburban tract home never will. The landscape isn't something to look at. It's something to live with. Those windows aren't just letting in light. They're erasing the boundary between inside and outside. You're drinking your morning coffee and watching the sun paint the clouds pink and orange. And you can't tell if you're in your living room or standing in the middle of infinity. The open floor plan isn't trendy here, it's necessary. When you've got 20-foot ceilings and the horizon visible from every angle, cramped little rooms would be claustrophobic, almost offensive. The space flows. Kitchen melts into dining area, melts into living space. All of it oriented toward those massive windows. All of it saying the same thing. You're part of something bigger now. But here's where it gets interesting. The Prairie Horizon barndominium design walks this incredible tightrope between rustic and modern, between industrial and warm, between minimalist and deeply, almost painfully, emotional. You've got concrete floors, polished, practical, beautiful in their simplicity. But then there's a massive stone fireplace, the kind that looks like it was carved from a single boulder pulled from the earth. You've got exposed ductwork and steel beams painted matte black, pure industrial aesthetic. But then there's a chandelier made from antlers or reclaimed wagon wheels. Something with texture and soul and a story. This design doesn't pick a lane. It doesn't have to. Out here, on the edge of everything, you make your own rules. The master suite. It's not trying to be a luxury hotel room. It's trying to be a sanctuary. Walls of shiplap and soft grays and whites. More of those ridiculous windows. And a bathroom that somehow manages to feel like a spa and a barn at the same time. Copper fixtures, maybe, or oil-rubbed bronze. A freestanding tub position so you can watch storms roll in while you soak. Because if you're going to live on the prairie, you're going to develop a relationship with weather. Whether you want to or not, might as well enjoy it. The porch, and there's always a porch wraps around at least two sides of the structure. Deep eaves, exposed rafters, enough space for rocking chairs and hanging swings and quiet conversations that stretch long into the night. The porch isn't an afterthought. It's where you remember what it feels like to exist without distraction. No traffic, no sirens, just wind and grass and the occasional cry of a hawk overhead. Now, let's talk about the details that separate a good Prairie Horizon barndominium from one that makes you question every life choice that led you to live anywhere else. Lighting is everything. You've got these massive spaces with soaring ceilings, which means your standard 8-foot room solutions aren't going to cut it. We're talking statement pieces, industrial pendants with Edison bulbs hanging at different heights over the kitchen island, a massive wagon wheel chandelier in the main living space, or maybe something sleeker, a geometric metal fixture that catches light and throws shadows like art. But here's the key. During the day, you barely need artificial light. Those windows are doing heavy lifting. The entire home glows. At night, though, the lighting becomes theatrical, strategic, creating pools of warmth in the vast space, defining areas without walls, making the home feel both expansive and intimate. Color palette. This is critical. The Prairie Horizon design doesn't do bright, screaming accent walls. It does subtle, layers of neutral warm grays, soft taupes, cream, weathered white. But then there's texture. So much texture. A wall of natural stone, beams in their original wood tone, all those variations of brown and gray that only decades of weathering can create. Maybe a wall of board and batten, painted in a color called something like ancient clay or prairie dust. The effect is calming, grounding. You're surrounded by color that feels like it came from the earth, because it did. The kitchen becomes the heart in a way that feels almost primal. Massive island, and I mean massive, probably 10 feet long, topped with butcher block or concrete or soapstone. Open shelving instead of upper cabinets. Because why would you hide your dishes when you could display ceramic and copper and all the things that make a kitchen feel lived in? Industrial range hood, probably custom made from metal that matches the exterior. Farmhouse sink deep enough to wash a small child in. This is a kitchen for cooking, not for Instagram. Though it photographs beautifully anyway, because authenticity always does. The connection to agriculture, to ranching, to the heritage of the prairie, it's not cosplay. The barndominium design literally comes from functional barn structures. Buildings designed to withstand anything nature could throw at them, while providing massive, uninterrupted space for equipment and animals and hay storage. The Prairie Horizon version takes that DNA and asks, what if we kept everything that makes this building form brilliant, but made it livable? What if we honored the past while building for the future? So, you get these gorgeous contradictions. A home office with high-speed internet and ergonomic furniture. But it's housed in a space that feels like a renovated hayloft. A state-of-the-art kitchen with appliances that cost more than most cars. But the cabinets are made from reclaimed barn siding. You're living in the 21st century with every modern convenience. But you're doing it in a structure that pays homage to a time when buildings were simple, honest, and built to last. There's something deeply appealing about that right now, isn't there? In a world that feels increasingly fake, increasingly filtered, increasingly designed to make you feel inadequate, the Prairie Horizon barndominium is real. It's steel and wood and stone and glass. It's functional and beautiful and completely unpretentious. It doesn't care if you're impressed. It exists because it works. And maybe that's the real appeal. Maybe we're all just exhausted from trying to keep up with trends that change every 6 months. From living in homes that look like showrooms instead of sanctuaries. From neighborhoods where every house is beige and boring and exactly the same. The Prairie Horizon barndominium says, what if we stopped caring what everyone else was doing? What if we built something that made sense for this specific place, this specific landscape, this specific way of wanting to live? The outdoor space matters just as much as the interior, maybe more. Because when your home is positioned on the Prairie Horizon, you're not just building a house, you're building a relationship with the land.